So hey friends, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'd like to talk about why you should give up watching porn, even if you're single. And if you happen to be new here, hello, my name is Jeremy. I'm a men's coach, meditation teacher, and founder of Unhooked Academy, the online program helping men overcome porn addiction from the inside out. I've been working with men on overcoming porn addiction since 2018, helping them build lives of deeper fulfillment, purpose, and meaning. And for me, the decision to give up watching porn was the single most life changing decision of my entire life. I gave it up on my 25th birthday when I was traveling through India, and I went on a long journey of recovery. And since that time, I've learned more and more about not only the damage that porn had caused in my life, but also what it takes to truly overcome this addiction at the root source. After quitting porn, I started to see massive changes in my life and massive benefits that it was bringing to my well being, my relationships, my career success. And that is when I really started taking it seriously. And I can say that pretty much everything good that has happened in my life since then, I can kind of boil down to that decision to give up watching porn and what I learned along the way. So, in this video, I'd like to share my top 10 reasons why you should consider giving up porn, even if you're single. Number one, your porn habit doesn't go away once you have a partner. This is the biggest myth that single guys tell themselves. Once I'm in a relationship, I won't even need porn, so I'll just find a partner and then I'll stop. But here's the truth, the habit doesn't go away when your partner arrives. The reason is because porn isn't really about sex. It's not about getting your needs for intimacy met. What it is it's a coping mechanism to deal with stress, to deal with unpleasant emotions. And here's a news flash for you. Stress is still going to be around even when you have a partner. So the patterns that you're building today are the ones that you're going to bring into that next relationship. So the time to start building a clean foundation is now before someone else enters the scene. Two, there's a hidden opportunity cost to your porn habit. So I want you to ask yourself honestly, how many hours a week does this habit take up? Now multiply that over months and over years and ask yourself, what could you have done with all that time instead? But the real cost here is even bigger than just the raw hours. There's all the brain fog that comes with watching porn, the lowered energy, the distracted thinking that bleeds into the rest of your day. So you're not just losing the time that you spend watching porn, you're losing all the sharpness that you would have had for the next several hours or days. So the question here isn't whether you have a problem. The question is, what is the opportunity cost? What are you leaving on the table by continuing to waste time and energy on this habit that gets you nowhere? And if you can give up watching porn, what could you actually accomplish with that time and energy? Number three, porn hijacks your dopamine system and hardwires you for dissatisfaction. I think it's obvious now to just about everyone, porn delivers a super normal dopamine hit that real life can't compete with. This term, a supernormal stimulus, is something that we would never have encountered evolutionarily speaking. So porn delivers a supernormal dopamine stimulus. And over time, your brain recalibrates to that high level of stimulation. And so ordinary rewards, work, relationships, exercise, they start to feel flat or unrewarding after that. What this does is it creates a low grade state of dissatisfaction. It's this background feeling that you don't have enough, that life just isn't quite delivering on what you need. And that I don't have enough state becomes your default way of moving through the world. Because neuroplasticity, we know that neurons that fire together wire together. So when you constantly start thinking, what I have isn't exciting enough, that becomes your default state. That novelty seeking becomes compulsive. You always feel like you need more, you need different, you need more extreme to get the same response. When you recover, it restores your baseline sensitivity so that real life starts to feel rich and meaningful again. You actually recover your sense of appreciation and gratitude for the little things in life. Four, there's massive internal growth from learning how to sit with discomfort. When you stop using porn as an escape valve, you start to feel things that you've been avoiding for years. This might be things like loneliness or boredom or frustration or anxiety. These are uncomfortable, but they're also important information. And learning how to be with those states, learning how to make space for those feelings and emotions without reaching for the escape hatch is actually one of the most powerful things that you can do as a man. It builds a kind of internal resilience, a kind of inner strength and emotional maturity that will benefit the rest of your life. And this is where real identity shift happens, not from white knuckling your way to sobriety, but actually learning how to be with difficult emotions, learning how to sit with discomfort and not run away, but stay strong. Everything that I teach in my program, Unhooked Academy, is built around this principle. It's about focusing on strengthening your inner world, not just trying to rearrange the conditions of your outer world. Five, you pay a secrecy and shame tax even if you're not aware of it. So even if you don't consider yourself to be an addict, if you have a habit that you'd be embarrassed to admit or that you have to hide from others, that secrecy has a cost. If you are carrying something that you hide from the world, it will drain you psychologically on a constant basis. It creates this low level background feeling of shame that will quietly erode your confidence and self respect. It makes you feel like you're living a double life, like you're an imposter. And what that results in is this feeling of if people really knew the truth about me, they would see me differently. They would think I'm a monster. And you start to relate to yourself as someone with something to hide. Now that leaks into how you show up in your relationships with other people. So giving up porn isn't just about giving up the behavior and the consequences. It's about being able to look at yourself in the mirror without flinching. It's about experiencing what the Buddhists call the bliss of blamelessness, that feeling like you have nothing to hide. Six, it kills your presence, particularly in intimacy. Whether you like it or not, porn is training a dissociated relationship with sexuality. You are watching pixels on a screen, consuming digital content, and living entirely in your head. Over time, this makes it harder to be fully present in your body, especially in intimate situations. Now, a lot of guys find that they struggle to stay present during real sex. Their mind drifts away, or they need to conjure up porn scenes in order to keep their erection. They're performing rather than connecting with their partner. And they become totally dissociated from the moment and from their partner. So presence and embodiment are skills, and porn actively trains the opposite. It trains a disembodied relationship with sex. And this is directly relevant to meditation and nervous system work. It's why mindfulness and self-awareness, particularly awareness of the body, is key to recovery. When you give up porn, it helps you come back to your body and experience sexuality as something that you're engaged in, not something that you're watching. Seven, porn destroys your desire for real connection. One of the insidious things about watching too much porn is that it gives you this neurological hit of connection without actually requiring any real vulnerability or effort. It makes you feel like you're satisfying that need for connection, even if it's just a cheap imitation and doesn't actually fill your cup. Over time, this reduces your hunger, your desire for real intimacy, because there's some part of your brain that thinks that that need is actually being met. A lot of single guys notice that the more porn they watch, the less they're motivated to put themselves out there, the less that they're willing to take risks and get messy and be vulnerable and go out and meet real people, because porn is just easier. And real connection requires a tolerance for uncertainty. It requires a risk of rejection. It requires emotional exposure. Porn will weaken you to that and makes you unable to stomach those things. Single men in particular need that hunger and that drive. It's what pushes you to grow socially and emotionally. And without that healthy desire for connection, we become disconnected from the world. 8, porn shapes your desires and expectations of intimacy. Porn sets a template for what you think sex is supposed to look and feel like. And on a subconscious level, we are starting to believe that what we're seeing in porn is what healthy sex looks like. What you see from the porn industry is designed for maximum visual stimulation, for the maximum amount of hijacking of your nervous system. It is not designed to help you attune to what real intimacy looks or feels like. And often it creates highly unrealistic expectations about bodies, about performance, about what your partner should look like or be interested in. And on a more subtle level, it's also training your brain to respond to a very narrow, artificial type of stimulation, which again can make real intimacy feel underwhelming. So, this is a problem that you're building now as a single man, and it will show up later in your relationship. Andrew Huberman, the famous neuroscientist, once said that addiction is a narrowing of the things that will bring you pleasure. And this is definitely true here with porn. Over time, narrow the things that you find attractive and that you find stimulating. And over time, real normal bodies don't do it for you. 9, it's only going to get worse and it's going to get harder to quit. The content from porn is getting more and more addictive every year by design. AI generated porn is already here and will only become more personalized, more hyper realistic, and more precisely engineered to your specific patterns. The gap between artificial stimulation and real human intimacy is going to keep widening. If you think that it's hard to quit watching porn now, it will be harder in a few years. And this isn't me trying to fear monger. This is just the trajectory of technology. And it's worth taking this very seriously. Technology is becoming more and more integrated, not less. And the line between porn and things like thirst traps continue to blur. So you have a small window right now to break free from this. And the longer you wait, the harder it's going to be. So do yourself a favor and quit while you still can. 10, the porn industry is linked with harm. This final one is less about personal benefit and more about integrity. There is a dark underbelly to the porn industry that it doesn't want you to see. The industry has documented links to exploitation, coercion, and trafficking. You might think that you're watching ethical porn, but it is nearly impossible to identify. Even something labeled as ethical or consensual might not be. Now, most men haven't thought carefully about where the content that they're consuming actually comes from. And you don't have to have a strong political opinion on porn to recognize that you can't know whether what you're watching is ethical. So for any guys out there who care about integrity, who care about ethics or values, this is worth at least sitting with and examining, particularly given that there are thousands upon thousands of documented cases of the most vile things out there from the porn industry. So there you have it, guys. 10 reasons to give up porn, even if you are single. Even if you think it's not a big deal, even if you think you'll just sort it out later, the truth is later never comes. That version of you who has his shit together, who shows up with presence and integrity, who builds real connection with real people, that guy isn't built in some future relationship. He's built now in the small decisions that you make every day. If any of this landed with you and you're ready for doing that deeper work, check out the link in the description to learn more about Unhooked Academy. It's not about white knuckling your way through to sobriety. It's about building the kind of inner freedom where porn stops having a hold over you. So that's it for today, folks. Thanks for watching. As always, I'll see you guys in the next one.